What's going on, everybody? These are the 5 items that I recommend and utilize most myself for off-season and in-season snowboard training. Check it out. What's up, duders? It's my training partner right here. You approve? 1 blink for yes, 2 blinks for no. So I tried to choose tools that I utilize that are all under about $100, maybe even $100 total. Okay, so obviously there are other tools that I use that I would still recommend to you, but again, that's not available for everyone. These are things that are attainable. These are things that you can bring into any size home, and things that I always recommend. So my number 1 recommended tool in the gym by far is a kettlebell. I didn't say kettlebells, singular kettlebell, because really all you need is 1 kettlebell. I have a series here. It doesn't have to be fancy. Literally, a 35-pound kettlebell is probably the most versatile tool that you can use in a gym. You can literally do so much. You can do unilateral work, you can do goblet squats, you can do overhead work, lower extremities, you can work on shoulder stabilization, you can work on upper extremities, chest, etc., etc. In the past, it's been about $1 a pound. That's not really the case anymore. I think this one is from Amazon. Check out the link in the description below. And I got this one on sale. It wasn't more than 40, 50 bucks at the time for a 35-pound kettlebell. A lot of them will be in kilograms. That's okay, just use a converter if you don't know what that is. But yeah, by far kettlebell is the most utilized tool in the gym. Because you can isolate side to side to find discrepancies, but you can also create exercises and be creative with that. Usually also incorporates your core, which is super important on the mountain. So number 1, kettlebells. Number 2, most utilized tool that I utilize in the gym are resistance bands. Now this includes thick, larger bands. This also includes small, thinner bands. I'll show you what I utilize here. So I utilize these guys, thick bands, as well as these thin bands for separate things. So thick bands, great for rotational and anti-rotational movements. I can attach it to an anchor. I can do something as simple as a chop. I can do something like a Palov hold. I can also add some resistance if I'm adding a plyometric. Small bands like these, this is our shameless plug, but doesn't have to be anything fancy. You can literally add some resistance if you're doing some shoulder rehab, if you're adding some hip abduction strength. I can add it in if I'm doing some upper extremity plank walks, push-ups, etc. So it's very versatile as well. They're not expensive. I think the thick bands are about 25 to 30 bucks. The thin ones are about 10 to 20 bucks, and they last forever. So if you don't have those, highly recommend getting them because I utilize them very often. Number 3, a box or a cooler to jump on and off of or utilize as a platform. So I have the Yeti cooler. I also made my own box here, which is really simple. If you don't know how to do that, highly recommend trying that, looking it up. You don't need anything fancy. So boxes can be utilized for plyometrics. They can be utilized as platforms if I want to add a heightened platform to perform a push-up, if I want to jump on and off of it, if I want a single leg Bulgarian split squat, if I want to perform a single leg lower or step up. Again, very versatile. I keep using that word, but it is so true. The nice thing about boxes, I can turn it on its side. If I want something a little bit bigger, if I feel like I'm feeling great that day, if I want to progress. Nice thing about coolers is they're multifunctional. I can throw some beer in there or soda, but highly recommend if you're going to use a cooler, add some weight in there. Be careful, be mindful of your neighbors. But that's my number 3 recommendation, is getting some sort of platform that you can jump on and off of or use as a heightened platform in general. Okay, number 4 is some sort of unstable surface. Now, this doesn't have to be fancy. Again, we have our own. It's just a piece of foam. But I always recommend use a couch cushion, use a sweatshirt, be creative with creating an unstable surface. So the nice thing about these is I can get it really dirty and messy, and literally just stand on it and perform single leg movements. I can test my balance systems, so closing my eyes, testing my vestibular system by moving my head. I can perform any strength-based movement on a single leg to increase that difficulty in general. If I'm using an unstable surface, working on that somatosensory proprioception, on a snowboard, we're constantly moving and adjusting from our ankles. So it's really, really great off-season or off-mountain training to add that unstable surface, and it makes everything much, much more challenging. Highly recommend as well for those who have chronic ankle instability, who maybe have fractured their ankle or fibula recently and are in that rehab stage. They found a lot of great studies for that, building up those intrinsic surrounding soft tissue musculature. So if you don't have that, if you don't want to buy that, that's fine. Use something around the house, like a pillow, couch cushion, etc., etc. Okay, fifth item I recommend and utilize myself are a tennis ball and a lacrosse ball, and I'll explain why. Tennis ball is great because I can cut a little slit in it. If I wanted to utilize a landmine-based feature with a barbell, I can utilize that. I can also still bounce this on the ground or off the wall, and the reason for that is because now we're training our frontal lobe, we're training coordination, we add a different complexity, we multitask with our movements. So I can stand on a single leg on my foam, I can throw this against the wall, I can juggle, different things that I'm training my mind to focus on something else while also training that motor coordination and strength training with that limb or limbs in mind. So on a snowboard, we're constantly examining the terrain, we're constantly adjusting, we're watching out for other people around us, making sure we're not getting injured. Maybe we're prepping to go off of a hit, a side hit, a jump, whatever. So we really need that ability to multitask and do many different high complexity things at once. A crossball I like because it's bouncy. I can also utilize it if I want to roll out. So for example, I'll show you. I can roll it underneath my feet. Dude likes it. I can also, if I have a knot in my back, I can use it along my spine to roll out. So again, can be used for many different purposes, and they're extremely cheap. So a can of tennis balls is less than $10. A lacrosse ball is less than $5. So really, really, again, magic word, versatile, but very, very valuable in the gym. Okay, I'm gonna do a bonus one because it's not totally necessary for everybody, but I utilize it quite a bit, and that is a pull-up bar. Now, it doesn't have to be fancy like this. It can literally be, I used a doorway pull-up bar, one that I picked up at Goodwill for $10 for 5 to 10 years, and that was good enough for me. Not only could I perform pull-ups, and that's okay if you can't, there are other ways to do it, but I can do things like bar hanging for shoulder rehab, for core. I can do things like anchor things to it. If I want to add a band to that, I can perform aided plyometrics. If I can add some rotational based movements utilizing that as an anchor. So again, there are multiple things that I can utilize for a pull-up bar in general. Again, it doesn't have to be fancy. I see doorway pull-up bars for sale or for free on Facebook Marketplace all the time. But that is my bonus. Check it out, utilize it, because I promise it will pay off. Okay, that's it. Hopefully that was helpful. It was just a quick rundown of tools that I utilize, the things that I recommend. Maybe there are some in there that you don't already have, or that maybe you haven't even thought about. Hopefully that was helpful. I wish you the best of luck with your off-mountain training and a wonderful winter.